All right, guys, I am going to walk you through the next step in our energy audit, which is to actually do some cost projection. So my energy audit does not have a lot of information in it. I just have one line, my light bulbs for the classroom. So we said there are 36 light bulbs at 38 watts apiece. They're on about 10 hours a day, which results in about 13.68 kilowatt hours a day, 410.4 kilowatt hours a month, and based on my energy rate, I found out $61.56 per month to light our classroom. And you can look in this little window up here to see the formulas I use in order to make these calculations if you're having trouble with this piece. So what I found, though, is that we could replace these bulbs. And I just did a quick search on Home Depot and found similar light bulb that's 32 watts, so a little bit less, not a ton. And right now they're selling a 10 pack for $29.98. So I'm going to put these into my spreadsheet too as replacement. So my replacement bulbs are going to be 32 watts. Oops, there's still 36 of them, but they're 32 watts. They'd still be on 10 hours a day. And remember, I wanted to do all these calculations again, but I don't really feel like typing them out. So I'm actually just going to drag down these formulas that I used before, and it's going to do all the same calculations relative. So this is doing a calculation and looking to the things to the left. This one's going to look to the left. Oops, actually I dragged it down. So right now it looks like I'd save almost $10 a month if I went to switch all these light bulbs out. The only problem is I'd have to pay $29.98 for a 10 pack and buy all these light bulbs up front. So let's find out if this is really a good deal and when I get some return on my investment. So what I did is I just copied this piece over and put it on a new sheet. Well, I already kind of copied it over. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little chart at the bottom, and I want to go month by month, and I want to know what it would cost to keep my light bulbs, and I want to know what it would cost to replace them, and I want to know my savings at any given point in time. Now, I'm going to show you some tricks with Google Sheets while we're doing this. So let's start with month 0. So no time has passed, just day 1. And then I want to go month to month. So I'm going to put a little form in here, equals whatever month it used to be, plus 1. Now, all that's going to do is allow me to drag this formula down, and it'll keep adding 1 to whatever was there before. So A7 is the same as A6 plus 1. A8 is the same as A7 plus 1. So let's drag that down, and we'll go to about 36 months. We'll go about 3 years, let's say. All right, so there's my 36 months. Now, with no time passing to keep my old light bulbs, it cost me $0. I don't have to do anything right off the bat. But to replace them, I'm going to have to buy all those light bulbs. So I'm going to add a new column up here in this chart. Then I'm going to say cost per bulb. And if I look at the Home Depot site, you get a 10 pack for $29.98, which means one is $2.99.8. So let's put that in here. 2.998 cents for one bulb, which means to replace them, I'm going to put another formula in. I'm going to take that cost per bulb and multiply it by quantity, 36 bulbs. So right off the bat, I have to spend $107.93 to replace the light bulbs. Now my savings is the difference between these. What it costs to keep it minus what it costs to replace it. And right off the bat, you notice my savings is negative. I'd be out $107. But let's not forget, each month I'm going to make some money back. So what do we do in month 1? Well, in month 1, I have whatever I used to have, but I have to add on to that the cost per month to keep those light bulbs. So I'm going to my light bulb row, and I remember they cost $61.56 a month. So I'm going to click that button. Now, my replace row, I'm going to say, well, I already spent that money, but now I have to add to it a month's worth of paying for the electricity. So add that to it. Now, my savings formula doesn't change. It's just whatever I've done to spend to keep it minus whatever I spend to replace it. So if I drag that down, you get negative $98. So I'm actually in it's still bad shape, but slightly less bad than I used to be. Now, I have an issue. If I try to drag these down, you notice the numbers just stay still, which is kind of weird. So the thing we had to look at is the way that I did this formula. When I go down to month 2, this is B7, whatever I spent the month before, plus G3. Well, that's not the right light bulb. So one of the problems I'm going to have here is that as I drag this formula down, you see these G's keep changing. So now it's referring to cell G7, but really, every month I want to spend that amount, 6156. So I'm going to go back to this original formula and say, I want to always refer to G2. Right now, you see as I click down, that purple box just keeps moving down the row as well. But I want it to always stay in the same place. So I'm going to put a $sign in front of the G, $sign in front of the 2, and that makes what we call an absolute reference, meaning no matter what, when I drag this formula down, always look at G2. So now as I go down, you see that purple box stays right at G2. And of course, my cost goes up. So this is a total cost as we go. So let's fix that in the second column. $G, $3, and that's going to say always refer to the cost per month for the replacement bulb as well. And as I go month to month, it adds up. But if you notice something, my savings is starting to change. On month 1, I had to spend $107, so I had negative savings. But then every month we go forward, still in the negative, but it's getting better. Well, let's go out 2 more months. And when I get to about 11 months out, I've only really lost $1. So over the course of the year, I will have made back almost all money I lost, which then means as I go forward, I'll make positive money. So let's drag this out to 36 months. And I see a whole bunch of numbers. Remember, this column is telling me how much it's going to cost me in total to keep my old light bulbs. And over the course of 3 years, I will have spent $2,200 just to light that classroom. If I got the new light bulbs over the course of 3 years, it would have cost me $1,974, not only to light the classroom, but to buy the light bulbs, which actually saves me $240. So that's a pretty good deal. Now, this is not the best way to see data. Nobody really likes looking at these big tables. So we're going to do something else. I'm going to grab these 3 columns, and then I'm going to say insert a chart. And also graphs and charts are just a good way to visualize data. Although this is not the best visualization. What I want to do is make a line chart. So I'm going to go chart types, line, and then let's just go to customization. Well, actually, that's all right. They have $signs there. So we'll just keep like that and insert my chart. And here it is. And what you'll see are these 2 lines at slightly different slopes and an intersection point. Well, that there is my break-even point. The red line represents what it costs to replace the lights. You notice on day 1 it starts high, but it has a lower slope. Whereas the other chart has a really starts at 0, 0, but it has a higher slope, which means over time I pay more and more and more. Now, the neat thing about doing this is suppose I were to go on a Home Depot and find an even better wattage light bulb. So same price per bulb, but let's say instead of 32 watts, it was 24 watts. I can type that number up into here, and everything is going to update for me. Whoops. No, it's not, because I changed it on the other page. Pardon me, let's go back to that first page. 24 here. So if I do that, all these numbers update. $38.88 instead of $51. And I go back to here, and look, my chart has changed dramatically. So now my payback time looks like it's more about 5 or 6 months. And then over the course of 3 years, well, I would have spent $2,200 to keep the light bulbs and only around $1,400 to replace them. Now, if I want to go back as a reference, I can go to my savings column and say, hey, over the course of 3 years, I will have saved $700 by replacing these light bulbs. Now, that's hypothetical. If I could find a 24-watt light bulb that gives me about the same effect. So this is a tool in your toolbox. So when you're trying to make the case to your parents about perhaps replacing an old refrigerator that's not too efficient, or an old water heater, or replacing light bulbs in your house, this is a good way to show that data put it in a context that's easy to digest and understand. Hope this video helps. Bye.